candidates for District Judge, Position 13, with introductory remarks, and we will go to Tony Martinez. Tony?
Hello, everybody. I'm Tony Martinez. Those of you that don't know me, I want to talk about myself for a little bit. I've got 25 years of real experience working for those in the community. I haven't worked for anybody else but the people in the community. This is my card, and this is the only person that's ever been on this card, me. No corporate connections, no government connections. The only people that I've ever worked for are those that knocked on my door and needed help with domestic matters like child support, child custody, grandparent visitation rights, protection from abuse, domestic violence. I get myself up every day, wrap myself up in the Constitution, and represent all those men, white, yellow, green, red, black, and I'd go in and defend them in all criminal matters on the city, state, and federal level. That's what I've been doing for 25 years. I've been representing all of you in this community. My roots run deep in this community. There isn't a Martinez, a Cervantes, a Briones, and a Barca, and Orpeza that I'm not related to. There's a lot of us. And I'm proud to be one of you. I'm not just from this community. I'm not just in this community. I'm of this community. I'm one of those gentlemen or young boys, those young little Mexican kids that grew up on 6 and Osage before they turned it into a mattress factory. I got an education. I paid for it all by myself. Worked in grain elevators since I was 14 years old. I used to work at the Turnpike grain elevator down on 18th and Kansas Avenue. It's not there anymore, it's a hole. But that's where I started, and that's where I got my opportunity. I met a very nice Anglo-American, Caucasian-American, an American. And he said, boy, you need to go forward. You got some brains, you got hard work ethic, you need to go forward. And I did. He got me another job in Topeka, worked for Cargill there. Then he encouraged me to go to college, and I did. Then he encouraged me to go to law school, and I did. Now I'm here. I'm the best ambassador that you could possibly have. I worked as far west as California, Utah, Nevada. Where are you from? Well, let me tell you a little bit about my hometown. Wyandotte County, Kansas? Yeah, Wyandotte County, Kansas. I'm so passionate about the things that I want to do in this community. But the most important thing I want to do is represent you all. And I've been doing that for 25 years, just you. Just the name here on my card for 25 years. I mentor, I educate, I teach, and I have been for the past 20 years, young black men, young Hispanic men, young white men, young Asian men through sports ministry. We teach them yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Don't sag. Wear a tie. When you go in for a job, approach it right. Answer the right questions and you get the job, or at least you get an opportunity to be seen. I've been doing that for 20 years. No special appointments, no appointments at all. Haven't ever needed a job. The reason why is because you all needed me, because you knocked on my door. You kept me working. You made it possible for me to pay my bills. You made it possible for me to send my kids to school. You made it possible for me to come here today and talk to you. You made my life. Now I want to give back. I want to do something else besides sit around, count my money, watch an NBA and NFL game. I want to work, and I want to keep working, but in a different capacity. A capacity I think that's just important, or maybe more important. This face represents a face of diversity. 30% white, 30% black, 30% Hispanic, 10% Asian. 15 seats, 15 judges. There are no Hispanics. There are 2 black. The rest are Caucasian. That's okay. But if you want the diversity that you talk about, we talk about every day, if you want the experience that goes along with that, and if you want the community involvement that goes along with that, the black Masons and some other Masons, the white Masons, we'll support you, Tony, but you gotta own it. You gotta claim it. I'm claiming it. I'm asking you to claim me. I'm asking you to remember me when you vote on August 2nd. Thank you.
Darrell?
Good evening. My name is Darrell Wynn, and I didn't have the privilege of living in one place all of my life. My dad was in the Air Force serving his country, so we moved around. And I was proud of that because my family has a military tradition. And I grew up thinking that when you live in a country such as ours, the main thing you have to do is give back. And so I've always been in the field of serving one another. But I decided when I left the Army, by the way, I'm also a veteran. My dad was in the Air Force. I went into the Army because in my family, we serve before we go ahead and do anything else. And I brought those principles of service to what I did here in Kansas City, Kansas. I was the first African American hired by the law firm of McNamee, Van Cleave & Phillips in 1990. It was established in 1901. At the time, I didn't know I would be the first black, but after I learned, I thought, what can I do to make this meaningful? Well, here's what I did. I began serving this community, and even though I wasn't born here, I made it my home. My kids grew up here. They went to public school here. They graduated from high school here. They've served here. The other thing I did is I gave back to this community. One of the things I did when I got here is I learned that there was difficulty in children reading, and so I joined the Friends of the Library. And what I did was my wife and I started the summer reading program along with members of the Friends of the Library. And so the summer reading program that many of your kids are in today was because we cared enough to do that. But I didn't stop there. There are businessmen here who wanted to start their own business, African Americans and Hispanics. And they said, Mr. Wynn, they call you Mr. when you're older, but they aren't really that much younger than me. But I helped them get started in their own business. I didn't have to be from here to know that it was important. I only had to have men and women who wanted to do something with their lives so that I could be of service to them. And if you want to know what kind of judge I'm going to be, look at what I've done in the community already. For example, I learned that there were kids in police protective custody who didn't have a safe place to be, and so they were sleeping on the floor in the jailhouse. Pete Zevenberg and the friends from PACES, Wyandotte Center, came to my wife and I and said, we need to raise money so that these kids aren't sleeping on the jailhouse floor. We'd never been in a campaign like that, so what we did is we got the community involved, and not just those who live in Wyandotte County, but those in the metro area. And we raised money, churches from all denominations, Catholic, Protestant, all denominations, Jewish as well, in this county and outside the county, to raise the money for Roberts Place, a place for kids to be safe. And I did that by building a coalition of people throughout Kansas City metropolitan area, because we're a metro area, but you deserve something special here in Wyandotte County. We deserve something special here, and that is someone who's committed not only to the welfare of himself and his family, but to the whole community. I have two boys, Chase and Reese Wynn. You'll know them because you've seen them around the community giving back. When we learned that there were kids in this community who didn't have enough food to eat on the weekend, we got with the Bible study group that I lead. And we decided that we would purchase the food and prepare the food. We work at Avenue of Life, and we make the snack packs for kids. This is the kind of judge I would be, not just the kind that wants to put people in jail, but a citizen judge. And what you want is a citizen judge who cares about this community and who has demonstrated how they care by giving back. I don't have the deep roots here, but no one can match or exceed my passion for this community. I chose to live here. I bought my first house here. I bought my second house here. If I have my choice, well, I'll have my last house here. And this wasn't an afterthought for me. This was something that was deliberate and intentional. And as your judge, I'll take the same passion, the same commitment to the bench with me. If you look at my clients, I've worked for clients that serve the needy, Wyandotte Center. So I know a great deal about mental illness and about the challenges that people who have those diseases face. I've worked for the school district. I've worked with your boys and girls, with Mr. James White, to make sure that they aren't just punished, but that they're taught. I've worked with all of the superintendents since 1990. But it didn't start and didn't end there. I've also worked with other groups. Any group that's trying to help people, the community college. I've been the general counsel for United Way. I've been the general counsel for the school district. I've been the general counsel for the community college. not 5 years, not 10 years, 15 and 20 years. And when I wasn't general counsel, I was the associate counsel those other 5 years. Any entity that had devoted itself to making things better in this community, I've been involved in. And the other one that I've spent all of my time with since I was here in 1990 is Friends of Yates, Battered Women's Shelter. I've worked with them over the years, and I've defended women who've been challenged and beaten by their husband. I've defended children who've been beaten by their parents because I care about this community. And what you need is a judge who understands all aspects of this community. And the last group that I've been the general counsel for is El Centro. When I served on the Board of Regents, I seconded the motion which allowed for in-state tuition for the children of people who were here working hard, all the things we talked about earlier, who weren't documented, but who had been here and who were born here. I seconded that motion, teaming up with the then moderate Republican Dick Bond. That's the kind of person I am. I'm a problem solver. And so voting for me for judge, you get a problem solver, someone that cares about this community. Again, the name is Darrell Wynn. Thank you.
Renee Henry.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Renee Henry. I'm running for Wyandotte County District Court Judge, Division 13, and I am the most qualified candidate in this race. And I'll tell you why. It's because in Wyandotte County, I have been on every single side of the bench. I have been practicing law for 16 years. I'm 41 years old. My first job out of law school was working for Nick Tomasic in the Wyandotte County DA's office. I prosecuted there for 7 years. I've done everything from DUI and theft trials up through rapes and homicides. I was one of only 3 attorneys that was assigned the sex crimes and child abuse cases, so I specialized in those when I was in the office. Through my work in the DA's office, I have written briefs and done oral arguments to both the Kansas Court of Appeals and the Kansas Supreme Court. I have done over 50 jury trials in my career, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trials to the court on both sides of the fence. And after 7 years, I ultimately went out and opened my own practice, where I was appointed by the Kansas Board of Indigent Defense Services to be able to represent indigent defendants in criminal defense here in Wyandotte County. In order to represent the indigent defendants in any case over a level 5 person felony, you have to be specially qualified for that. I was qualified for that. So I have represented indigent defendants here in Wyandotte County on everything up through rapes and homicides. So I am uniquely positioned to have seen both sides, and I understand the unique challenges that come with both prosecution and criminal defense. The most important thing is that I am currently a permanent pro tem judge here in Wyandotte County. My courtroom is Division 15B. I'm there every Wednesday and Thursday every week for the past 3 years. You're all more than welcome to come down there and see what we do. I handle juvenile offender cases. Those are criminal cases in which the defendant is under 18. And our kiddos here in Wyandotte County, unfortunately, do everything from theft to rape and a homicide. So I see it all. I handle detention hearings from the bench. I handle arraignments. I handle trials. I handle sentencings, violation hearings, you name it. The thing that I love about being a judge, especially in juvenile court, is that in juvenile courts, especially, we look at what programs are needed to help stop the criminal activity. And I think that that needs to translate to adult court, and that's what I want to do from the bench in adult court. I think in the past you've been seen as soft on crime if you're looking at programs for criminal defendants. And I am not here to say I am soft on crime. Obviously, I started my career as a prosecutor. There are people that need to be locked up. There is no question. There are bad people out there. They do very bad things. We need to keep our community safe and keep some of those people locked up. But the harsh reality is you can't lock them all up. And there's low-level and mid-level offenders who you may lock them up for a little while, but they're coming back in our community. And they're learning things while they're in custody, and they're coming back and committing more crimes. And I want to make our community a safer and better place for all of us. I know across the country, there's been a big push of veterans courts. I would really like to look at getting something like that in Wyandotte County. I know Johnson County recently started that. I know Kansas City, Missouri started that. I do think we need more mental health resources. I don't think that's looked at enough in adult court. We do have some substance abuse resources that we try, but we need to do more because we keep having these levels of crime, and that is what I want to do from the bench. So I've been a prosecutor, I've been a defense attorney, and I've been a judge, and I've seen it from every single angle. I've also done some civil work. I've done some family law. When I do defense work in Missouri, they do depositions over there, so I have some practice in that. But my passion and my focus has always been criminal law. And a little bit about me personally. I'm a wife. I'm a mother to 5 beautiful children. My oldest just graduated high school, and I am the current president of the Wyandotte County Bar Association. I volunteer as secretary for my homeowners association, and last year and this year I volunteer for Project Grad for the seniors so that they have a safe alternative for something to do on grad night. And so I am here today. I'm asking for your support. I'm asking you to vote Henry on August 2nd.
Now we'll go to the questions, and we'll start with Renee. What is your experience in civil litigation?
As I just said, my focus of my career has really been on criminal law. I have done some civil litigation. I did intern in law school in a personal injury law firm. Got to go through a lot of medical records and sit in on a lot of depositions. I have done criminal depositions, which are very similar to what you would do in civil cases. And I have litigated family law cases, divorce and custody.
Okay. Darrell Wynn, what is your experience in civil litigation?
I've handled all types of civil cases, from discrimination based upon race and disability. I have done class actions. As a matter of fact, recently I had 2 wage and hour class action matters that I defended on behalf of not-for-profits who had been challenged. I have done divorces, I've done adoptions, I've done a little bankruptcy, ton of contract work. When you are the lawyer for the school district, you know, a $500 million budget, you tend to do a lot of things in the civil arena. When you represent United Way, you do other things of a contract nature. With the exception of bankruptcy as being something that I would have focused on, I would say that I have a broad background in all aspects of civil litigation.
Okay. Tony, your experience in civil matters?
Well, I can't say I've done this or this or this or this or this or this. I can say I've done this, is what I can say, because I have. If you had a son that wanted to spend more time with his son, you'd come knock on my door. If you had a daughter that wanted more child support, you'd knock on my door. If you wanted a divorce after 40 years, you'd come knock on my door. If you needed help in a contract dispute with your landlord, you'd come knock on my door. There isn't anything that I can think of that I haven't done on the civil side. There isn't. From the lowly traffic ticket to the lady that took her son to the hospital and didn't come back with him, wrongful death. There isn't anything I haven't done. There isn't any kind of trial I haven't been involved in, representing people, always representing people.
Okay. What has been your experience with criminal litigation? And we'll start with you, Tony.
Well, there again, I mean, right now I have, if I had my calendar, I could roll it out and tell you that I have 3 hearings in federal court in the next 2 months. One involving defense of a gentleman who decided he wanted to look at child porn. I've done murder cases. I've done rape cases, federal level, state level, city level. I can't think of too many criminal matters that I haven't been involved in either. Tried to give my clients the best kind of defense that I can. Some clients need more help than others. Some clients needed to do jail time, and they did. Some clients just needed a second chance. So we looked for alternatives, probation, whatever kind of treatment program for any kind of substance abuse, anger management. So again, I have a wide background doing many things for the people.
Okay. Darrell, what has your experience been with criminal litigation?
I tried my first criminal jury trial in the winter of 1985. I graduated from law school in the spring of 1986. I got a special provision to practice law with the Shawnee County District Attorney's Office and tried 2 jury trials while I was still in law school. From there, I joined the military and was a federal prosecutor. I was also a special assistant United States attorney. My most famous case as I was in Virginia was where I prosecuted a foreign national for impersonating an Army intelligence officer and getting access to one of our programs. I have prosecuted cases while I was in Virginia and throughout my career as the chief prosecutor in Virginia Beach, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, Newport News, Virginia, in both federal court, courts martial, and military courts. I've defended criminal trials. I came back here and defended the trial of someone convicted of aggravated assault. I've got an extensive background in criminal law, and more importantly, I have an extensive background in dealing with people who've been charged and accused and then convicted of crimes. I've done it all, and I care about making sure that justice is the means and the ends and not just a word that we throw out when we're trying to get people to calm down.
Okay. Thank you. Renee?
I went over in a lot of detail earlier my experience in criminal law. I have handled everything from charging a case up through and including the appeals process. I have tried over 50 jury trials, hundreds of bench trials. I've also done the same on the defense side. I've tried everything again to rape and homicide. I also, in addition to being a judge, permanent pro tem here in Wyandotte County with juvenile criminal cases, I've also pro tem'd in Kansas City, Kansas Municipal Court. So I've seen, sat through many dockets handling, even something as easy as a low-level traffic offense. So most of my experience is with criminal law.
Now we'll have our closing remarks, and please limit those to a minute, and we'll start with Tony.
There's never been those people in my language. There's only always been us. And for 25 years, I've represented us. It's always been us, all of us together. What makes me unique is that's all I've done for 25 years. That makes me unique because I understand the compassion you have to have when you have a young man before you that's committed a heinous crime and his mother and his father are crying because he's going to go to prison, and he is. I understand that. I understand when a mother takes her child in for just a regular medical checkup and he doesn't come out of the hospital. I understand that. I understand the compassion that's needed for that. There is no us. There's those people. There's only us. I'm not asking for anybody's money. I'm just asking for your support. I just want you to know that I think I can do a lot for the community, a lot more than I already do. I think I'm your best candidate. I think I'm a unique candidate because the only people I've ever represented are you in the community. That's been my whole life. Compassion first, fairness in the courtroom, parity in the courtroom, and most of all, transparency in the courtroom. I don't have a special resume. I don't have things to put on the wall. I can't say I was the first of anything. I can't say I was the head of anything. But I can say I've been an attorney for you all for 25 years. Now I want to be your judge. Thank you.
Okay. Darrell?
Judges wear black robes, but that's not really where the authority comes from. The authority comes from the integrity and the character of the individual underneath the robe. And my life is a testimony to both my character and integrity. I didn't mention it, but in 1995, I was appointed by the Kansas Supreme Court to sit on the Kansas Board of Discipline for Attorneys, which is the hearing panel that hears the appeals of attorneys whose licenses or who are subject to discipline by the court. Now, that's pretty significant, and you just don't get on that by being popular. You have to be have to have high integrity, and you have to be a person of substance. That's what I am. And I'm not ashamed of the things that I've done because I just didn't stop there. I've also represented people who, when they wanted to get out of trouble, we actually started a home for women who were prostitutes who didn't want to go back. And we started a not-for-profit organization right here in this community because someone came to me and said, Daryl, would you do this? And I did. And a lot of the things that I do, representing churches and other groups in this community, I did for free, not because I'm looking for a medal or an award, but because I care about this community. My church is in this community, and we're out here helping people every day because there's a higher calling that I'm trying to answer. You want a judge who wears the robe but understands what it's like to be a human being and who has some compassion. And compassion's not a bad word because you still have to have sound judgment. Look at my record. Go to my website, darylwinfordjudge.com, and look at what I've done. Look at who I've served. I've served the needy, I've served the forgotten, and I've served them well because I was expected to, not just by you, but by the higher calling that I answer to. One of the things you have to ask is, what type of man am I? I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm a man of faith. That's what you get when you vote for me for judge. Daryl Wynn for judge, August 2nd. Thank you.
Renee?
Thank you. Like Mr. Wynn, I am not originally from Wyandotte County. But I always say I can't choose where I'm born and raised, but I can choose where I live and where I raise my family. And I've been here 16 years. I have bought 2 houses here in Wyandotte County as well, and I intend to stay here. I've been a contributing member of this community. Shortly after I moved here, I was on a board and started a special ed prom that they still hold every year at Harmon. We donated the dresses, the suits, food, a band, because I had worked with a victim on one of my cases who was in the special ed community, and it was important to me to give back to this community. I believe that everyone should have access to justice. When I am on the bench, whether it's pro temping in municipal court or in my courtroom in Division 15B, I want people to come in there and feel like they can ask the question and not get their head bit off by a judge. And I've been in a lot of courtrooms, and I'm not talking about Wyandotte County, but I've been in courtrooms in other places in Kansas and in Missouri, and there are some judges that do not make people feel like they have access to justice. And I firmly believe that everyone should feel that way, and that's how I conduct myself in my courtroom. I am experienced, I am fair, and I am dedicated to justice, and I'm asking you to vote Henry on August 2nd. Thank you.
Let's give the candidates a hand.